Hi, my name is Kedar and you're watching RPTV. At the Daniel Spectrum, the Regent Park Neighbourhood Association held its annual general meeting, welcoming both long-time and new members from across the community. This year's AGM marked a significant moment for the RPNA, celebrating a year of milestones and growth. Members signed pledges showing their support for RPNA's mission of community building and advocacy. Attendees also heard important updates, including leadership changes and RPNA's transition to becoming an independent organization. Local vendors was on full display as the AGM featured food from one of Regent Park's own Café Pop-Up vendors, a project designed to support local entrepreneurs and animate community spaces in Regent Park. RPNA also highlighted major initiatives, including the Tech Learning Library, which aims to bridge the digital divide for all Regent Park residents facing barriers to accessing technology and the internet. This project, along with RPNA's involvement in key community initiatives like the Community Benefits Coalition and Social Development Plan, reflects their ongoing commitment to fostering equity and inclusion in Regent Park. With a shared vision for Regent Park's future, the AGM reaffirmed RPNA's dedication to empowering the community, ensuring that every resident has access to the tools, resources, and support they need to thrive. Now let's go to the video.
First of all, thank you so much for joining us, and my apologies for being a bit late. We actually had a big win today at City Council. Miguel was there. This was related to for-profit development on Sherborne and Dundas. It's now been referred to Council with our recommendation. But we're also going to be talking about some of the amazing wins we've had for the community and the challenges we have ahead on. So I'll quickly just introduce myself again. My name is Walid Kogali Ali. I'm a resident of Regent Park. I was very involved with the social development plan as one of the co-chairs of the community building working group, which helped organize Sunday in the Park that Miguel referred to. I'm also a very active member of the board of the Regent Park Neighbourhood Association. And I'm so glad we're having this amazing annual general meeting where we're going to also elect our board of directors. So I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you, and I'm going to pass it on to Pavitra, who is our amazing RPNA coordinator, to quickly go through the agenda, and I will do the land acknowledgement. Okay, so I'll do a quick land acknowledgement, and then we'll get started. So just give me 1 second. So we live in Regent Park in the city of Toronto, and we acknowledge that we're in the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat people. And we know that this home, it's also home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaty, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. I'm now going to quickly read out an African ancestral statement. Okay, so I also want to acknowledge that we're all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. And I'd like to pass it on to Pavitra. I just acknowledge that we do have some members joining us a bit late, so I'm going to be going downstairs and up just to bring them up. So excuse me when I do that. Pavitra?
Yeah, thank you, Walid. So now I'll be introducing the board members, the current board members of RPNA. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have Ismail Afrah as a treasurer. Walid Kogali is also another board member. And then we have Miguel as another board member. And Shena also is another board member. and few other members are yet to come, but they represent the TCHC as TCHC. They represent, and we have the market as from market we have Colin, and we have Gail, who will be joining us online. So unfortunately she couldn't make it, so she's joining virtually. And we also have Saleh, another board member, and we have Dawar, another board member. So they all represent market group, and that is how the whole point of RPNA is to have the idea of social cohesion. Half TCHC tenants and half market residents, so that there's a cohesion between both groups. That's the main idea. And yeah, now I pass it on to Walid.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we are, I think we all did an introduction, so everyone knows who everyone is, which is great. We're going to go on to the board report. Our board report is going to be very brief. There's a lot of stuff that happened this year that we're not going to be mentioning, so I just want to let you know. For example, Canada Summer Jobs, we got funding from the federal government to hire students, but we're going to reflect that in next year's report. So this report is just going to cover a certain period of time. So we're just going to open that. Okay, so we're going to quickly just mention some organizational developments. So we had our previous co-chair step down. So we want to give a shout out to Marlene de Genova, who was our previous co-chair. Ismail Afrah also was one of our co-chairs and stepped down, and now he's our treasurer. We're going to also quickly reflect that RPNA has gone through a lot of organizational development. So we were just a grassroots organization, but in February of last year, something amazing happened, and that is we got incorporated federally, which is why we're doing our AGM. Now we have certain bylaws to follow, certain rules to follow, and this also allows us to gain resources from our federal government when it comes to funding, right? So that's another important milestone. So remember, February of 2023 is when we got incorporated. So we're kind of, what, 1 year old? 2022, sorry, mistaken. February 2022. So what now? We're
2 years.
Okay, we're 2 years old. I'm a year off. So we're a toddler. We're a little baby now. 2 years.
Yeah.
So hopefully, when you folks are around the next 10 years, in the next 8 years, we'll celebrate our 10-year anniversary and then 20-year anniversary. So you're part of an organization in the early beginnings, okay?
Yeah.
Historic.
The other thing is we've actually got some amazing support from Daniels Corp, which was very invested in making sure that we have not just an amazing neighborhood association that serves the interests of residents, but also have a social development plan. They've been very amazing supporters. And due to their resources, we're actually able to hire Pavitra in this role, right? So we've also got donations from other members of the community to support this work. So if you have deep pockets, I want to encourage you to donate to RPNA, okay? If you wanna, we're going to actually be launching a website with the ability for people to donate directly. We believe in grassroots donations so we can continue our advocacy efforts, and we're going to talk a lot about that. Next is something amazing. So I want to acknowledge the amazing work of the Employment and Economic Development Working Group of the SDP. But before I do that, how many of us know what the Social Development Plan is? Just raise your hand if you know. Okay, only Ibrahim. Oh my goodness. Okay, quick summary. Residents, just like you, advocated for investments in our community because we believe that you cannot have social cohesion and inclusion, which is the goal of the Social Development Plan, if you just invest in the physical infrastructure. So in the buildings, what we said is we need to invest in people. So we secured $2.5 million in funding, $500,000 per year.
For 5 years.
For 5 years. $2.5 million, $500,000 every year. In fact, this year, we do have the last $500,000, the last $500K that is going to be allocated for projects that will run from December of 2024 this year to December of 2025 next year. So if you know of a project that aligns with the priorities of the social development plan, please reach out to us. We will make sure we connect you with the appropriate city staff and our amazing SDP coordinator. Her name is Brandy Skinner. I don't know if Brandy is with us here. Not yet. So Brandy's hopefully going to be joining us soon. She's probably downstairs waiting to get in. So I'm going to make sure I follow up after this quick presentation. But these are projects meant to reach our goal of social cohesion and inclusion, which is the goal of the SDP. So one of the working groups of the SDP is called the Employment and Economic Development Working Group. We have 3 others: communications, safety, and community building, right? Please learn about the social development plan, because we're going to be taking quizzes as we do this work. So you should know this so that you could be ambassadors of this great work. So the Employment and Economic Development Working Group, Ismail just left right now, but they had a great idea, and that is create a space for social enterprises, specifically for caterers. And what we did is we worked with women who wanted to, expand the catering across the community, and we created a space called the Café Pop-Up. So this Café Pop-Up was funded by the City of Toronto, as well as other stakeholders. I'm going to ask Ismail if he wants to quickly speak to that.
Just as Waleed had mentioned, the Regent Park Neighbourhood Association is part of the Social Development Plan. The Social Development Plan is, as he said, is when this neighborhood was being rebuilt, the developer, at the time Daniels, and Toronto Community Housing, they thought, well, if we're going to rebuild a whole neighborhood and put in $1 billion, what is our purpose? Do we want to just change new buildings? Do you want to create just new infrastructure? Perhaps maybe this is an opportunity for us to also change lives. So they had a physical plan, how tall, how small, what are the streets like. So that's called a physical plan. They also came up with what's called a social development plan. Mm-hmm. So what it's like, let's have a plan for changing lives. They consulted residents and community members, and they came up with 4 areas that they want to focus on. One area is community building. Since we're getting half, the community used to be 100% Toronto Community Housing. Now we're getting new neighbors of condominiums. How do we integrate the 2 communities? So we want the 2 communities to have social cohesion and social inclusion. So we do that by focusing on community building initiatives. So through events, through grassroots groups. So if you're a grassroots group, you want to make change. You want to see there's a problem you see, you want to solve that problem. And you say to yourself, hey, can I join my friends? Let's create a group. So how do we support people like that? So they created this group called Community Building Working Group by working on community initiatives, events, and creating formal spaces. So anybody who's working on anything around that area comes together on a monthly session, and they work on that. The second area is safety. So there's a huge concern in this community about the safety of this neighborhood. So they said, why don't we get stakeholders, residents, the police, Toronto Community Housing, anybody who's working on safety for a common table, so we can discuss the problems, solve prototypes and solutions. So they created a table for that. And third, they created an employment and economic development. They said this whole lots of investments are coming to the neighborhood, so we might as well put energy into. So why don't we create a table for employment and entrepreneurial activities? And lastly, communications. So the neighborhood association works closely to make sure this plan is implemented. So we sit at almost all the table, and we also support as we chair the whole plan. So I had the privilege of working closely with the employment table as one of the chairs. I'm no longer the chair. We have a new chair. However, we partnered with the table to implement.
Colin is one of the chairs.
Colin is the chair. So to implement that goal. So the goal of that table is how do we increase employment and entrepreneurial opportunities. So how do you do that? So we meet monthly, and there's a table of leaders, and we talk and we think about. So we came up with two strategies, an employment strategy and an entrepreneurial strategy. So part of that strategy is the cafe. The cafe is, the strategy starts with entrepreneurs learning about what it means to run a business. So you say, I'm an upstart, what do I know about business? So you come, you learn about it. So you take workshops and you meet coaches. So that's the first part, learning. So let's say after you learn, you want to say, what do I do with my learning? You want to prototype, you want to experiment. So there's what's called the second step. The second step is we have several markets in the neighborhood that happen seasonally. We have the Taste of Regent Park, we have the Cultural Bazaar, we have what you call the Moonlight Market. So the idea is you experiment your business. What is it like to price? What is it like to market? What is it like to promote? Because you have a business, you don't know any of this. Because you took a class, you have a business idea, now you experiment. So that's the second step. The third step is the cafe. The Café Pop-Up is a more semi-permanent. We had an opportunity to pilot the initiative downstairs. We had a 6-month pilot where entrepreneurs get the space for free and basically run as a cafe. So we had several entrepreneurs interested, and they ran their business. So this allows you more opportunity to experiment with your business, to prototype your business. So we had several entrepreneurs. We have one of the caterers today from the cafe as well. Lastly, after you try out the cafe, we have the fourth step, which is called container markets. That's a future goal. We want to bring those container markets to Regent Park. We're working to advocate for that. And the lastly is community commercial. The idea is, let's say you are, after you've done experimenting in the cafe, what's next? You want to try out a more commercialized space, but highly subsidized because you can't afford the rent. So you in that space, because of our partnership with the developer, we're working what that model looks like. Do we give 3-year leasing that's subsidized, very subsidized? What does that look like? That's coming down the road. And lastly, you notice that the 5 step is learning, experimentation, more learning, more experimentation. At the end, if you go through these steps, we hope that you can say, I'm ready for a normal commercial, because you've had the supports at each level. So it's a pathway. So that's a strategy we came up with a table, and we had the opportunity to implement that project last year, and it was successful, and many entrepreneurs, and we're hoping we've submitted an RFP, that's a request for proposal for another year, and we're hoping to hear the news soon.
Awesome. That's a great overview by Ismail. Thank you so much, Ismail. And I just want to quickly introduce Catherine. Catherine is also a member of RPNA. Welcome, Catherine.
Hi everyone, nice to meet you all. Hello. I'm also working on the website.
Yeah, just let people know.
So I'll be like around taking photos.
Awesome.
Okay.
So Catherine is going to be helping us develop the RPNA website, and she's one amazing member of our community. So thank you for joining us. Okay, we didn't talk about the tech library or not yet?
Yes, so this is the second project that we did. Before the RPNA was involved in these projects, we were mainly an advocacy organization. So we mainly negotiated with Toronto Community Housing, with the developer on behalf of this community. So part of the success we've had in previous years was our first opportunity was working with the councillor in close hand-in-hand by saying, hey, this community is going through a lot of change. Why don't we see investments? So we said, what can I do, right? Because she was the councillor, and we said, why don't you bring in money into this community? Because of that initiative, we started the city funding, the 2.5 million you just heard about. This year, 500,000 is being submitted, and that's part of that legacy. We successfully advocated and secured that funding for the neighborhood. So that's one of our success in the past. So we felt that was pretty strong. Why don't we continue the advocacy? Because advocacy seems to be something we're good at. Then we started what's called our biggest accomplishment, which is the community benefits. We wanted to know, in phases 1 and 2 and 3, we've had a developer. They did amazing stuff. They did this building. They did a lot of great things. But we wanted to know what was the investments they brought to this community. And what would be the next developer, if there's a new developer, what would they bring? We wanted to be part of that conversation. So because of that, we went around the different organizations and we said, hey, Yonge Street Mission, good partner, help us out. Community Health Center, help us out. We started a whole coalition of community benefits of working with our partners. Dini Peters was with us, what they call Yonge Street Mission, Stella, her previous support, Janella was with us. So we started a campaign, a community campaign to negotiate for bigger investments to the community. So it seems like we're getting a reputation for advocacy. So because of that, of campaigning and we met for a year, back-to-back meetings every day, and negotiating, having conversations. It led to the results of 26.75 million. So astounding. This neighborhood got 26.75 million. They're going to decide how to spend that through a process that's 1 year. So you'll hear that this year. They're going to consult the community and they're going to ask you, how do you want to spend this million? And we negotiated for that process. We negotiated, we said it has to be community-led. You have to involve the neighborhood association. And we signed an agreement between us and them so that it's community-centered. So we seem to be getting very confident in our ability to negotiate, to have conversations. Then we asked ourselves, then COVID-19 hit. So a lot of the conversations stopped. Then we were thinking, what should we do as a neighborhood association? This is where an opportunity came. We said we want to do programming. Maybe we can stand a better chance at doing some programming, and that's why the cafe is a pilot, and the tech library is the second pilot we ran. We got a lot of interesting donation from CIRA, a federal government, and our partner, Yonge Street Mission, also contributed a lot to the project. And we got lots of computers and also hired a few employees to run a lending computer program. Yeah. So we lend people the computer, they get to do their homework, they get to enjoy free Wi-Fi, and we ran that for about 6 months, and it was successful. So I call this a shift in the work we do. We did negotiation, we did advocacy, now we call them this advocacy through programming. So we want to stay true to that, bringing transformational programs and change. Yeah. So that's the second project we did. It's called the Tech Library.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ismail. And if you want to volunteer or support our RP Tech Library, please let us know. Pavitra is actually helping us restart that program. It was very successful. It helped us bridge the digital gap that exists in our community. Some folks didn't have access to fast internet. This is a great way for them to apply for jobs. It's a great way for them to access social services. It's a great way to make sure that our neighbors have the best supports to succeed, right? So we can only make this possible if folks volunteer to support this program. And we are actually also applying for funding so we could also staff this amazing service. Ismail, I think, covered a lot. But I'm going to quickly talk about the Community Benefits Oversight Working Group because it's very important. RPNA, so your neighborhood association, did something that has not been done in many places around the city, if not the country. And that is we signed a community benefits framework with Toronto Community Housing. And that framework outlines the steps to achieve something called a Community Benefits Agreement, CBA. And why did we want a CBA? It's because we wanted to make sure that the investments that are made in our community are targeted, right? So that we hire specific number of jobs. We create a good amount of good jobs so that we have an endowment fund to support initiatives in the long term so that we can also ensure that there is monitoring and evaluations of this investment over the next decade or two, right? So this is very important. And if you want to learn more about the Community Benefits Oversight Working Group, please let us know. We're going to be taking questions in the end so that everyone understands the importance of those spaces and how to get involved. The other thing that I want to quickly talk about is Dini, and we have Stella. Dini and Stella are part of something called the RPNA SPWG, which is the local Regent Park service providers. And Dini, maybe you can quickly share with everyone in the room what is so important about that service providers. It's also up here, but
yeah. And we've had also support in the past from Dixon Hall staff, from Focus. We all feel that it's very important to have a resident governance structure in Regent Park. Regent Park has a long history of residents associations that goes back to the 60s when the first residents realized that there was no recreational services that were for their kids, and their kids were playing in parking lots. On to when I came into the community, the Regent Park Residents Association at the time that went door to door collecting $2 to fund the community center that was at 203 Sackville. They established the Soul Support Mothers. They established the food bank in the community. But it was always about community ownership. And our local agencies have always felt it's very important to help and support residents to have a meaningful sense of involvement in their community and to have a voice and to be able to influence decisions that are made that directly impact their lives. So that's why we have the RPNA reached out to the Regent Park, the Executive Directors Network, and asked for support, and local agencies said yes and provided supports through myself, Stella right now, Adonis, we call on him many times. He helps us as well. And there are other service providers that we are able to reach out, RPNA can reach out for support.
amazing. Thank you so much for that summary. I just want to let everyone know that we'll be doing an extensive outreach. Miguel spoke about Sunday in the Park earlier. We helped make sure that event happened, no matter what the challenges were. But we also have been at the Taste of Regent Park, having an info table, talking to residents about their issues, their challenges. So our organization is not there just to speak on behalf of residents, it's there also to listen, actively listen to residents. That's how we've informed our priorities, is through you, right? And you folks, by the way, whether you see it or not, you're our bosses. The membership of RPNA gets to decide what our priorities are going to be, okay? So a quick summary. Now I'm gonna quickly talk about this, and if everyone, does everyone have their phone on them? If you just take out your phones, I'll greatly appreciate it. One of the most amazing things that RPNA has been part of, and I wish more people knew about this, and I hope that you folks tell everyone, is back in the day, we worked with a coalition, and it's called the Coalition for Equitable and Inclusive Development. So this is in 2022. In 2022, we heard that certain developers were coming together to appeal the city's definition of affordable housing. And it's called OPA 558. The definition of affordable housing passed by the City of Toronto is based on income. And it says that no one should pay more than 30% of household income. Does everyone understand why? Imagine if affordable housing was based on market and was 80% of market. How much would people be paying? How much? Do the math. $2,800, $3,000, and that's going to be called affordable? Oh, right? So we work with this coalition to defend the city's definition of affordability at something called the Ontario Land Tribunal, the OLT. It's a provincial adjudicating body. And guess what? We won. We won, right? Shouldn't we all have Isn't that a good thing? It's a big win, right? And what we are trying to do is make sure that the city of Toronto applies that definition of OPA 558, okay? Especially in phases 4 and 5, which is the next phase of redevelopment in Regent Park, right? So that's one of our collective goals to ensure that we apply the city's bylaw. The other thing is, we don't have a lot of time because we're gonna go through our pledge and elections tonight and have some delicious food. I'm kind of hungry, haven't had eaten all day. I don't know how you all feel. But I want you to use your phone now. And I want you to scan that barcode. And you'll have a better sense of, you're going to have a better sense of what actually happened with regards to that advocacy when it comes to making sure that we applied the affordable definition of that's based on income. That's not based on market, okay? So I'm gonna quickly, did everyone get that? Yeah? And we'll make sure to email all of this stuff for you, by the way. A very nice board report with graphics so you can keep it and share it with other people as well. So the other thing is the definition. It seems like a complex definition because it's based on the number of bedrooms as well, but you can find this definition on the City of Toronto's website, okay? And then there's a slight sort of summary of our journey. When it happened, I kind of briefly spoke about it. November of 2021, City Council adopted the official plan. And then in December 13th of 2021, there was an appeal by some greedy developers to the Ontario Land Tribunal. In November and December of 2022, the work of the coalition, including the Neighbourhood Association, to defend that bylaw. In January 18th of 2023, the appeal was dropped and we were successful, right? And then in February 10th is the ruling that came out from the Ontario Land Tribunal that said, you need to apply OPA 558, which was a big win, okay? So this is some of the advocacy that we've been involved in. There's a lot of stuff that we want to talk about, but we're going to reflect in the next board report because of how our fiscal year is when it ends. So we will make sure to update all of you via email on campaigns and projects that you could be involved in, because our neighborhood association is only strong as each one of you. If you choose to get involved, we become stronger. So that's why we say stronger together, right? Have you noticed in our amazing logo, it says stronger together? It's because we believe in that. We are actually stronger together. And what I'm hoping now we could do is quickly review the pledge. So I'm going to quickly talk about our election process. And then I'm going to ask our members to sign the pledge, those that have been duly nominated, so they'll be able to vote in this election. And then what we will do next is we're going to have some delicious food, okay? So, quickly about the nomination process. So, what we do is we open up nominations to the entire community. And we had amazing folks like Phyllis and Shauna who were nominated to represent the house grouping. So we have different house groupings. That's how we select representatives to be on our members. So 25 Wyatt is proudly represented by Shauna and Phyllis. All right. So they were acclaimed in that role because their neighbor said, we trust you to represent us in the annual general meeting for the neighborhood association. Okay, so we have a list of folks that have been acclaimed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite those folks to come and sign their pledge because they have to sign the pledge before they're able to vote. And I'll quickly go through the pledge. So the pledge is very simple. I'm going to read it with pride. Okay? The pledge says, I pledge to abide by the mission, vision, and values of the Regent Park Neighbourhood Association bylaws. I also pledge in the spirit of the Social Development Plan that as a member of RPNA, I will no longer identify myself solely as an advocate for the TCHC or market residents, but as an advocate for all residents of Regent Park equally, regardless of where they reside, demonstrating the ideals of both the RPNA and the Social Development Plan for the goal of social inclusion and social cohesion. Okay, so that's the pledge. Now, why do we ask everyone to sign on this pledge? One, because we are trying to do something very important in our community, and that is we want to achieve a plurality of market and TCHC residents. Right now, some of you don't know this, but how much percentage are market? 70? Who said 70? Congratulations, you're a winner. 70% right now of residents of Regent Park are market. 30% are social housing. We used to be 100% social housing. So we want to achieve the goal of 50-50. 50% market, 50% social housing, so that we don't ignore our past and where our community came from. The other reason we ask folks to sign a pledge is when you're part of the RPNA, you also have a fiducial responsibility. You have a duty of loyalty to the organization because now it's a federally incorporated entity. And that means we need to work together, advocate for our collective interests, not just the interest of certain people, right? So that's why it's important for you to sign the pledge, because we want to make sure that you understand that that's our collective goal. So what we'll do is I'm going to invite folks here, and then whoever signs the pledge can quickly maybe grab some food so we can start eating, and then we'll have the election of our board next, okay? So what we'll do is we'll invite Shauna and Phyllis to sign the pledge, and then we have some folks who are joining us a bit late who will sign the pledge as they come in. So just your signature and the date. Today's date is
25.
Yeah, September 21st. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Shauna. Okay, Shauna, grab some for Shauna. Some financial statements. So while people get food, we're going to have a presentation by our treasurer on the financial statements, and then we're going to have a motion regarding the financial statements that we need to pass, and then after that we'll do the board election. So my mistake, I completely forgot about that piece. Okay, thank you so much, Phyllis. Okay, next we have.
They'll have to follow up with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We'll just put your name down here so we can make sure you have your contact. And just make sure in the pledge you put your full name, because we have some of your contact, but some of you folks are new, so we want to make sure to capture that. Okay, next. Who's next? Then Miguel. Colin, you want to come through? What else in the bag? Colin, Catherine, you can come next. And Dawar. Okay, Dawar. Next. So if you're a new member, you haven't part of the nomination, just put down your address in the pledge form so we know which housing group you're part of, okay? Awesome, thank you, my friend. Okay, so everyone signed so far. So whoever's new, do you want to come? Oh, Miguel, you still haven't done it?
Oh, yeah.
Again?
Well, they have to be the Regent Park resident.
Yes.
Yeah, they're all Regent Parkers.
Yes,
She's sorry,
Yeah.
I thought I heard something different. Yeah.
No,
More
it's just
stuff. Sorry. Brahim, come and sign next, brother. Come here, Brahim. Brahim.
Do you want to sign any part of RPNA?
For being a member?
Yeah.
Duties.
Oh, it's 60. Yeah.
Yeah. No, 34. 34 top man.
Top man. Okay.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so you're just gonna put your address.
So that we
Just,
know.
yeah, signature, name.
Do you have
Oh, I thought it's for personal members, so it's not. It's for everyone who joins this association.
members? So you will be the corporate member. So we are also recruiting corporate members.
Okay, I
Can you sign it?
Ibrahim, was this you?
You can write down his name.
Yeah, otherwise I wouldn't know it's your side, right?
Very impressive. You can write backwards. You're so fucking good.
I wrote backwards, yeah.
Okay, please help yourself.
And your contact so that you know, otherwise, so that we get to your email address.
我的 email 省得老是往那边扫。
Thank you so much.
Okay, perfect.
因为我这是专门给社区的，我这个邮箱是专门社区的，这样子就不会太多乱七八糟。
Yeah, which building do you? 130 River.
You're perfect. Yeah, you were got nominated. I remember you, brother. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so I'll be talking about a very, very important subject, our financials. Regent Park Neighbourhood Association, we've had grants and donations and membership, fundraising. The first grant we ever got came from the City of Toronto, and that is to support the Regent Park Neighbourhood Association in its effort to advocate for the residents of this neighbourhood. So at that time, we received what's called the SIF grant, that was 75,000 for 3 years. So that added up to 225. After that, we wanted to get more organizational independence, so we opened up our own banking with RBC, and this document that you received today is a record of the transactions there. So the funds that we received based on this account is one from the Social Development Plan, a grant of 65,675. This was to run what I told you, the EED learning series. Remember what I told you? We partnered with the EED to implement the first step, which was education. So we got that money to run that program. The program ran successfully, and because you guys are members, you'll be able to receive the report of that, what we did with that grant. The second one is the Canadian Internet Registration Authority. This is the tech library, and we received 50,000 from that. And where it says Yonge Street Mission is also to run that project, the tech library. So we ran the library, hired employees, and also we have a report based on what we did, and you'll be able to receive that as well. Second, we've also received funding from the Daniels Corporation, 30,000. This was to help us run our coordinator position, so that's being implemented right now. And also, we ran the Café project. The Café project also allowed us to receive funding from operations, and we used those funds, with the entrepreneurs. So they generated those funds, and it went back to the sales of the entrepreneurs. That was also in there. So we've also received some funding from the federal government for our students. We had 2 students this summer, and so we got that funding, and that amount is there. And we also received a 5,000 donations.
Did you guys hear that? A $5,000 donation.
Yes.
That's amazing.
So, based on that, our expenses, what we spend the money on, is on, we've had salary and benefits. This is to run the workshops, the learning series, the tech library, our coordinator. So all staff, we've spent about $88,040. Honoraria, these are advisors, resident advisors, to help us advise on how to implement our project. So we spent about $4,225 on them. So other expenses are administration fees, equipment such as the laptops and computers, and also the POS system also costed us. Also on programming expenses and outreach. Overall, our expenses has been $158,087.09. On record today in our bank, we have $34,477 in our bank accounts as of today. We're working very diligently this year so that we can apply for several grant opportunities so that there is more funding for our programming and our advocacy in the future. That's all for these reports. You will also receive in your email the SDP grant funds that we ran for 3 years. That's not included in this report, but you'll also receive it as part of your package as well.
Any questions related to financial statements?
Well, it's good that we are being transparent and accountable, so that puts down rumors that we are putting money in our pockets.
By the way, I just want to remind everyone that our board is volunteers, so no one gets compensated for serving on governance. I just want to shout out to all the board members that have been volunteering their time, their skills to support the neighborhood. Okay, so thanks Miguel for that. I see no other questions. I want to make sure that we introduce a bylaw change to our bylaws. So I'm going to read it out. And this is a bylaw a change that was recommended by a consultant, specifically from MAS, which is the Management Advisory Service. And the bylaw that I'm going to quickly mention what the intention of this motion is, so that everyone understands before we vote on it. This is the first time you guys are going to vote. This is amazing. So the first decision you're going to be making today. Okay, so the bylaw that we are amending relates to our specific obligation when it comes to our financial statements. So we as a not-for-profit, so usually not-for-profits, if you have a certain amount of money, you get audited. Which is like 200,000, 200, it's a large amount, okay? We don't qualify for an audit, okay? Because we don't have those amounts of dollars in our care. What usually happens is something called a review. We conduct a financial review, okay? Now, these financial statements that were presented by Ismail are the most up-to-date, actually can confirm that it's reflected in our bank statements. So I'm going to propose a bylaw change to exempt the Regent Park Neighbourhood Association from conducting a review engagement for the 2024 fiscal year. Okay, and what I hope is in the future, when we do have money to do a review of financial statements, we'll be able to do that. Okay, can I have a seconder for that motion? Shana, yeah, yes, Stella.
May I just comment on that? The review is required by the Service Canada, or it's like the registered for the incorporated organization. It's not something you can change in the bylaw.
We can pass a bylaw, change it, and that was what was recommended by MAS. Right, so that's what we're doing. Okay, so we have a seconder from Shana. Okay, okay. So all in favor of adopting that bylaw change to exempt RPNA for review? All in favor? Put your hand up. Okay. All against? Okay, I think that's unanimous, so the motion carries. Okay? Okay, we just have another late member joining us, so they're going to be joining us in a second. Ismail, remind me, are there any other bylaw changes?
Yes. So the other changes we are thinking of is this. Given, based on our structure, the neighborhood association, the way we work is we have to, every 3 years, we have to consult the community and run elections.
Mhm.
However, building by building, so each building we have to make sure that is run. Given the organizational capacity is cumbersome, given that this is cumbersome, we feel we cannot fulfill this. So instead of requiring that every building they have to, we're changing the bylaw to say every building may, so that it's less cumbersome on our end to run elections. So we will still have membership based on building by building. However, if a building is not able to, that's understandable.
Or has
Or a person is more than one person, that's okay. That's the recommendation we're making.
Okay. Thank you. So Ismail, are you okay with moving that motion?
Yeah.
The bylaw? Okay, so Ismail Afrah would like to move that change in our bylaws. Does anyone have any questions related to the changes? Anyone has any questions? Anyone have any questions? No? Okay, can I have a seconder for that bylaw change? Oh, 3 hands already went up. Phyllis, you would like to second it. Phyllis Andrew, is that okay? Okay. So the motion has been duly moved and seconded. All in favor of the bylaw change? Okay, it seems like it's unanimous. Anyone opposed? For the record? None? Okay. Bylaw changes complete. Thank you, Ismail. Now we're going to move on to the last part of it, which relates to electing our board of directors. Okay, so this is very important. It's an important part. So I'm going to ask Pavi quickly for some help with that. We're going to quickly introduce who's on the board slate, and then we're going to vote on it. Okay? And by the way, we will be continuing to recruit members from both market and TCHC until we get our the threshold identified in our bylaws. So all the housing groupings will be represented. Okay? So for the slate, I will mention the members of the slate that were recommended by the board. So Miguel Avila is one of the recommendations, right?
Yeah.
Shada Omar, Ismail Afrah, Gail Lynch, Shahan Ahya, Colin, right? Who? Let me see who else. Salah Sheikh. Who? Shahan, yeah, we already said Shahan. There's someone else, I'm forgetting. Dawar. Colin, Waleed. That's the slate so far that I recall. Okay? So, yeah, so if so we're gonna vote on this slate. And if anyone's interested in serving on the board moving forward, you can reach out to our coordinator and we'll go through that process as well. Or you can nominate yourself at this meeting to serve on the board as well. Any other nominations? I mentioned the nominations as recommended by the board, but also I'm gonna ask if people accept it. Everyone here accept those nominations or in the room? Everyone accepted the nominations? Correct? Accepted? Good. Okay, all in favor of electing the proposed slate, who've all accepted the nominations? All in favor? So now we're going to do a vote. Okay, all in favor? Everyone's seating, yeah? Yeah. Everyone's shaking their hand up, put your hand up. Okay, good. All in favor? Okay, the motion carries.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? Any opposed for the record? Seeing none? Okay, it's unanimous. Okay, congratulations for those who have been re-elected to the slate for the RPNA board. Congratulations. Yeah. But we're officially done with our business. So for those of you who want to leave to catch other matters, we promise that our meeting will be done at 8 o'clock. Guess what? It's 7:57. Okay? So 3 minutes earlier than planned. Okay? So you should be happy you're leaving this meeting early, because I hope you come back next time. Okay? And I want to thank our amazing friends from Regent Park Focus for covering this AGM. So thank you so much, Awar, Kedar, a good friend, Could you guys want to say hi to everyone?
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also follow us on social media, and for more information, check out our website.